Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm your ever-loving host, Shorty, and reviewing comic books that came out this week again. This one is the first one I'm doing this off my pull list, so I kind of went into this sort of expecting to like it. Now, there's a big problem with that, in the fact that it's the newest one by John Constantine, well, involving John Constantine, the Hellblazer, and it's going to run up in comparison to Simon Spurrier's amazing and sadly to be purple short run. John Constantine is a character I've loved pretty much since I was into comic books. There's something about the roguish villain nature of the guy. Maybe it's that English sensibility that we just like bad guys, or roguish bad guys anyway. And I like the fact that it existed in a world where magic was a real thing, but it wasn't the high fantasy version of magic. Probably the first time I could say there was something like urban fantasy in my life was reading Hellblazer. And I've carried on reading him fairly consistently. There's been times when during the New 52 era I got really sick of it, with having to get all the Justice League Dark crossovers and all that stuff going on to get the full stories. Really not much fun to do that. And then there was the initial Rebirth thing they did, which was mostly bad but ended well. Then did this little 12-issue maxi series when it was like after Rebirth but before they went for the mature readers one, and that was brilliant. That was really, really good fun, but again only lasted 12 issues. And it comes down to like what makes John Constantine a fun comic book to read. Well, number one, you've got to get the character right. You have to get across the fact that he is not only a thorough and unmitigated bastard, but he's also disarmingly charming, has a knack to use magic in such a way that it makes people want to be around him and want to like follow along and see what happens next. Throw in that one, you need to have some very good dialogue. He's a whip-smart character, and he exists in a world of people who challenge him. That's like his preference. So you need to have that come across in how he talks to people and how people talk to him. Thirdly, on that one, I think I'd say you need some good artwork. You need to basically capture the down and dirty nature of the world that John lives in. And I'd say, finally, probably the least important of them, I hate to say it, is the actual story you're telling. Because with a good character and good dialogue and great art, the world that John lives in is so messed up and so weird that you can have an awful lot of stuff going on, and you can kind of just go along for the ride and enjoy it because of John. So, with all that being said, does Hellblazer Rise and Fall, yes, that is the variant cover, by the way, I love Lee Bermejo, actually live up to any of that? Well, after I read Seven Secrets by Tom Taylor, I was like, yeah, you know what, the guy can write, and yes, he absolutely can. The dialogue in this one isn't quite as good as Simon Spurrier's. Can't really say that without my nose growing. Spurrier is an amazing writer. He's got an absolute knack for dialogue. And although Tom Taylor is a good writer, definitely better than I thought he was, he doesn't quite get it right. What he doesn't do, which is lovely, is he doesn't put an accent into what he's writing. He doesn't try and have a fake Liverpudlian or a Cockney accent through anyone. People are just talking, and it's up to you to kind of have that accent in your head, and that's nice. I hate it when people do that for John. The actual world that's going on is perfectly well done. It isn't quite as dark, again, as the Simon Spurrier stuff, but I'm not necessarily saying that's a bad thing. Because the Hellblazer comic book ran for over a decade, maybe 2 decades, in fact. There was lots of ups and downs on it, and I don't think you'd need to be grimdark all the time for it to be entertaining. John can just, live in a world where bad things happen, but you don't necessarily need to see the guts and the gore of it all. Some of the Garth Ennis ones in particular, where it's dealing with angels and the like, yes, there is an angel connection in this one, are brilliant and an awful lot of fun. Does it look good? Well, Derek Robinson has an absolute knack for faces. Steve Dillon often gets criticized for doing like only 5 faces. Derek has a similar thing where he's got like a few archetypes, but what he does is bring out the humanity of people. And he makes them all look flawed and human in a really, really good way. People have like jowls and slightly buck teeth, and they're not the perfect specimens of humanity that some comic book writers have a tendency to fill the pages with. And that is very, very Hellblazer. The story itself is actually really good as well. Yes, again, it's not hugely dark, but there is some very uncomfortable deaths, and there's a lot of tie-in stuff that happened to John when he was a kid, and a lot of his previous stuff coming back. Weirdly, it's fit in the time period where Chaz is still around. If you're reading the Spurrier stuff, you'll know that's going to predate this, or post-date this. But I think it all works. Now, that's a whole bunch of stuff that I've just said there, which all comes together and says, yes, it is a good comic book. And it is a good comic book. I'm glad it's on my pull list. I'm really looking forward to reading the next 2. But in a world where Simon Spurrier is writing Hellblazer, there's absolutely nothing Tom Taylor and Derek Robertson can do other than put out an exceptional comic book and not be thought of as being an imposter. And it's really sad that this happened. If this had come out as the launch thing instead of them doing it through the Sandman universe, it's gone pure Black Label, I think a lot more people would have picked it up. I think a lot of people would have really liked it. It's certainly a good comic book. Then they launched it with Suspiria when they've built up the marketing. They've done the three-issue miniseries in a prestige format. Then they just do Black Label monthly, really well written, expertly realized, fantastic artwork, John Constantine, and it would have been one of the best things DC have done. Fortunately, they did it the wrong way around, and everyone who picks it up and reads it, no matter how good it is, and it is good, is going to think, damn, why couldn't they let Suspiria carry on? Anyway, that's it for me. I'm going to come back tomorrow because there's still loads I need to review, so maybe even expect some weekend and Monday reviews if I get the time to do this when I'm on my day off. As you can tell, I've gone well over my 5 minutes on this one because it genuinely needed a lot to be said about it, but I'll try and keep it under for next time. That's it for me. Bye! Oh, hang on.